You charge at me with murderous intent. I don't mean right now.
So it's finally official. Marvel has announced that an Avengers Doomsday trailer is on the way. That alone is enough to send fans into speculation mode. But now, a bunch of new rumors have started swirling that the unstoppable Juggernaut himself, Kane Marco, might be making a return in this movie. And honestly, that's one of those ideas that immediately gets people excited because it opens up a ton of possibilities for where the story could go next. But as always, the question is, how exactly would Juggernaut fit into a massive event like Avengers Doomsday? Let's break it down and look at everything that makes this theory so interesting. First off, for anyone who's not super familiar with the character, Juggernaut isn't your typical Marvel villain. Kane Marco started out as an ordinary human, and everything changed when he discovered a mystical gem that belonged to the deity Cyttorak. The moment he touched it, the power of Cyttorak transformed him into a living tank, literally unstoppable once he gets moving. His superhuman strength and durability make him nearly invincible, and his iconic helmet protects him from any kind of psychic or telepathic attack. That detail is especially important since his stepbrother is none other than Professor X. So even though Juggernaut isn't a mutant himself, he's always been closely connected to the X-Men world. Over the decades, Juggernaut has been part of countless Marvel storylines, especially those involving the X-Men. He's been both a villain and an anti-hero, sometimes working with the Brotherhood of Mutants and at other times striking out on his own. He's appeared in comics for over 50 years, featured in solo runs, and even popped up across video games, trading cards, and animated shows. Basically, if you've followed Marvel for long enough, you've seen Juggernaut somewhere. He's also made his way onto the big screen more than once. Vinnie Jones first played him in X-Men: The Last Stand, Ryan Reynolds voiced a CGI version of him in Deadpool 2, and most recently, Deadpool and Wolverine gave us a new take on him through Aaron W. Reed's portrayal. What's interesting is that, depending on the adaptation, Juggernaut's powers sometimes come from being born a mutant, while in others, like in the comics, they come directly from Cyttorak's mystical gem. Either way, his defining traits never change. He's the unstoppable force that nothing can slow down. So why do so many fans believe Juggernaut might show up in Avengers Doomsday? Well, it's not just wishful thinking. There's actually a solid comic book connection between Juggernaut and Doctor Doom, and when you look at their shared history, it starts to make perfect sense why Marvel could bring them together in this movie. In the comics, their paths have crossed more than once. One of the biggest examples is during Secret Wars 2015, when Doom basically became a god. In that storyline, Doom used his unmatched intelligence and power to create a massive patchwork planet called Battleworld, made from the remnants of destroyed universes. Every region on Battleworld was ruled by a different group or hero, and Juggernaut found himself in one of those territories. Naturally, he didn't take kindly to Doom's tyrannical rule. The two had a serious confrontation where Juggernaut, being who he is, stood up to Doom's godlike authority. It was one of those rare moments where pure brute strength collided with cold, calculated intellect. They've also had smaller interactions before that. Back in Uncanny X-Men number 230, there was a situation where the X-Men and Doom actually had to team up with Juggernaut to take down a common threat. And then, in Juggernaut: The Eighth Day, Doom had another role to play when Juggernaut was struggling against the power of Cyttorak itself. Their relationship in the comics has always been complicated, sometimes rivals, sometimes uneasy allies, but always interesting. Now, if we connect all that history to the MCU's upcoming Avengers Doomsday, the idea of Doom manipulating Juggernaut fits surprisingly well. Doom has always been known as the ultimate strategist, the kind of villain who never gets his hands dirty unless he's already won. So it's not hard to imagine him finding a way to control or influence Juggernaut for his own purposes. Because think about it, Juggernaut is a living weapon. Once he starts moving, nothing can stop him. If Doom were to somehow corrupt or reawaken the power of Cyttorak, he could essentially turn Juggernaut into his own personal battering ram against Earth's heroes. Imagine that for a second. Avengers, mutants, and even the remaining Eternals suddenly having to face a mind-controlled Juggernaut charging through everything in his path. It would be the perfect way for Doom to send a message before making his grand entrance. While everyone's busy trying to contain Juggernaut, Doom could be watching from the shadows, studying their tactics and testing their strength. That's exactly how Doom operates. He likes to know every weakness before he strikes. One of the coolest ideas floating around is that Doom might not just be using technology to control Juggernaut, but magic. Since Cyttorak's powers are mystical in nature, it would make sense that Doom, who's both a scientific genius and a powerful sorcerer, could tap into that same energy. Maybe he discovers the original Crimson Gem of Cyttorak and uses it to enslave Juggernaut's will. That could give us an amazing visual. Juggernaut glowing with red, chaotic energy, while Doom manipulates him like a chess piece in a larger plan to eliminate Earth's mightiest heroes. If the movie actually goes that route, it could also open the door for some emotional depth, because Cain Marko isn't evil by nature. He's more of a tragic figure who constantly struggles between his humanity and the uncontrollable rage that comes with Cyttorak's gift. So, if Doom were to take over his mind, it wouldn't just be another fight scene, it would be about saving Juggernaut from himself. The Avengers, or even mutants like Professor X and Colossus, might try to reach the real Cain buried under Doom's control. That would give the story both heart and intensity, something Marvel does best when it balances emotion with spectacle. And there's another layer to this too. Avengers Doomsday is rumored to set up a multiversal crisis, which could easily tie into Secret Wars. And if you've read those comics, you know Doom becomes almost godlike in that storyline. So this movie could show how Doom starts collecting powerful beings across universes to build his army. Juggernaut could be the first of many, his test subject for harnessing mystical energy. It's also a clever way to bring mutants fully into the MCU fold. Since Cain Marko is closely tied to Professor X, his inclusion could serve as the bridge between the Avengers and X-Men storylines. Plus, the timing couldn't be better. With Deadpool and Wolverine already reintroducing mutants to the MCU, the door is wide open for more crossover moments. If Juggernaut returns, it wouldn't be out of nowhere. It would be a natural continuation of what Marvel has already been setting up. It's easy to imagine Deadpool having a moment of comic relief when he realizes the same Juggernaut he fought before is now under Doom's control. That's the kind of playful continuity Marvel loves to use to connect its universes. And Doom manipulating Juggernaut makes perfect sense from a storytelling perspective too. The Avengers have faced alien armies, artificial intelligence, and even cosmic threats, but a magically enhanced powerhouse being used as a pawn by one of the smartest villains in the multiverse? That's new territory. It raises the stakes while also giving fans something visually spectacular. Just picture it, Juggernaut charging through entire city blocks while Iron Man's armor struggles to hold him back, Thor's hammer barely slowing him down, and Doctor Strange trying to break the spell linking him to Doom. That's blockbuster material right there. But beyond all the destruction and action, it could also be the setup for Doom's grand philosophy, the idea that he sees himself as the only one capable of bringing order to chaos. By controlling Juggernaut, he'd prove his superiority to both gods and men. He wouldn't just want to defeat the Avengers, he'd want to make them realize that even their strongest warriors can be turned into his tools. That level of manipulation is classic Doom. It's not enough for him to win, he wants to reshape the entire world in his image. So when you put it all together, the rumors about Juggernaut appearing in Avengers Doomsday don't sound far-fetched at all. They sound like the perfect way to escalate the MCU's next big chapter. It brings together the mystical side of Marvel through Cyttorak, the mutant connection through Juggernaut and Professor X, and the multiversal chaos that Doom thrives on. It also sets up future possibilities for Secret Wars and even deeper storylines involving the X-Men and the Avengers working side by side. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because we got some fire updates coming soon on which movie will kick off the MCU's mutant saga and what's next for the Inhumans.